Imagine traveling back to the feudal era and becoming a woman. Only then might we begin to understand a fraction of their pain. 1. Born with a fate already assigned. For women in the past, life was often decided the moment they were born. If the child was a son, an heir. If the child was a daughter, someone destined to leave her family. They did not grow up to become someone, but to become someone's wife. From a very young age, they were taught. Silence is virtue. Obedience is safety. Endurance is strength. No one asked what they wanted, because society believed they did not need to want anything. 2. A childhood without the right to dream. Women in the past rarely had a real childhood. They learned weaving cloth, cooking, caring for younger siblings, protecting the family's reputation. They were not encouraged to be curious. Questions were seen as rebellion. Dreams were a luxury, reserved for those who had choices. 3. Marriage was not love. Most women in the past did not marry for love. They married because of family arrangements, economic interests, political alliances. They entered marriage like stepping into a role. They had to bear children. They had to be obedient. They had to endure. Divorce was almost non-existent. Leaving a husband meant losing honor, family, and social standing. 4. Motherhood, the greatest duty. A woman's value was tightly tied to her ability to bear children. Giving birth to sons, respect. Not having children considered useless. Miscarriage, personal blame. Motherhood was not a choice, but an obligation that could not be refused. Their greatest fear was not death, but failing to fulfill their role. 5. Their bodies did not belong to them. Women in the past did not own their own bodies. They could not decide when to become pregnant, how many times to give birth, whether they were allowed to rest. Pain was considered normal. Exhaustion was seen as weakness. They learned to live with pain because there was no other option. 6. A suppressed inner world. They had emotions. They felt fear. They had desires. But there was no space to express them. They cried in the kitchen, stayed silent in the bedroom, hid anger behind polite smiles. For an entire lifetime, they learned how to exist without ever being allowed to be themselves. 7. Quiet strength. Yet women in the past were not only victims. They kept the family's fire burning, passed down culture through lullabies, raised the next generation. Their names were rarely written in history books, but history passed through their hands every single day. 8. When old age arrived. After bearing enough children, after their bodies grew tired, they were finally allowed to rest. But it was not freedom, only fewer demands. Many grew old in silence, with no one asking how they had lived. If women of the past could say one sentence to the future, perhaps it would be, "We survived. But we also wanted to live."